Hello and welcome to the Wealth Doc Podcast with your host, Dr. Mike Heckman. I'm Wendy McConnell. Well, hello, Dr. Mike. How are you?
Excellent, Wendy. How have you been? Been a second.
I know it's been a little while. So we do have a guest today. Do you want to introduce your guest to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a martial artist in Massachusetts, he probably doesn't need an introduction, but for our wider audience here, this gentleman is a successful school owner, accomplished kickboxer, Taekwondo Master, one of the 8 guys in the United States that's certified in the Taekwondo defense system, that they use in the military in South Korea and Mexico. My personal friend that I met as I traveled the world paying people to beat me up, or travel the world paying people to beat me up. So this is Master Mehrdad out of Massachusetts. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you very much, Mike.
That must be why he was a little insulted when I asked him to repeat his name. He's like, what do you mean? You don't know me? Come on now. Everybody knows me.
No. I'm just a little part of Massachusetts hanging out.
I'm just messing with you. So, Mike, tell me about you're traveling around the world paying people to beat you up. What does that mean?
I started doing martial arts when Reagan was president, which I'm finding out that some people don't even know when that is anymore. And then
you're right. That was the 80s.
Yeah, me with the financial planning and the business consulting and that stuff that we do, I'm really interested, and people that combine, my 2 passions there, and so Mehrdad, somebody that I met that him and I kind of latched on when we were doing like one of those weeks of trainings where this guy's got the successful martial artist, and there's the talented martial artist, the real martial artists out there is becoming a dying breed. And then somebody who can run a successful school and be a competent teacher, that's 3 very different hats. And so and he's got a great story. So I wanted to come on and share it with the people.
All right. So let's hear the story, and then you guys can kind of help us understand why it is you like to get beat up. I mean, I know it's more about beating other people up, but let's hear the origin story, and we'll see where this goes. Okay.
Yeah, Mehrdad. So I know we've talked about it, but just for this purpose, let's talk about how you got into martial arts.
Yeah, it was always a passion of mine. For me, my parents were always like academics first, and sports was always second and pushed back. So once, I kind of got a little bit older, I got to kind of do things on my own and make my own decisions. So martial arts was something I always enjoyed, got into it. So it was something I just was good at. Some things you're just naturally good at. And that was just something I picked up quickly because I had a passion for it. And then from there, I just did it for fun over the years. I left one employment, so I was going to another one. So I had some time in between. So I got back into it more seriously and found out that I enjoyed it way more than I thought, because I ended up teaching little by little, a class here and a class there just for fun. And I taught the classes I liked, which was all the sparring classes, hitting people. And people hitting me. So those are the ones I always enjoy, teaching people how to do self-defense. And, so from there, it just became more of a serious thing. And then moved on to running it for somebody else, to eventually, a couple of years down the line, that person moving, purchased the business, took it over, made it much bigger, and changed it into what my passion was more, which on the sparring side of things. Here we are after all these years.
Yeah. So what system did you start out with, martial arts wise?
Well, it was still in Taekwondo, but I dabbled in other things as well. I jumped into boxing a little bit, did some kickboxing, learned from different people. There's some Hapkido people I learned from. There was a fencing coach I trained with, just so, he was a world-class fencing coach from South Korea. But he was also a Taekwondo Master. So I got to train with him for a while. Going to Korea, I had a little bit of training there. But there was a lot of masters that came from Korea to the States, where I just had the privilege of being able to train with them just through different connections. So I got to train with the people who do all those crazy flips, which was definitely not me. I learned it wasn't me. I was not the aerial guy. I trained with the people who were fantastic at forms. I realized that was not me either. And then there was those guys that were hitting people, punching, kicking, moving around, and I realized that's me. So, and that's the thing. You just have to try different things and figure out what you're good at and kind of, stick with what you're good at.
So, how long have you how long has it been since you like transitioned into like going from the student to the instructor to the business owner? How did that work? Tell me more about that.
So under me, it's been 10 years now that we've had our school open. So it's been a good 10 years. Financially it's been good. Um, and then overall growth overall has been pretty good as well. Programs have expanded. We've had state champions and national champions that have kind of put us a little bit more in the spotlights when it comes to Massachusetts and this entire region. As much as you would think, there's a lot of active Taekwondo schools. There really isn't. There's schools that are running and operating, and there's other ones who are much more active on the competition scene, that want to push their athletes to a higher level. And unfortunately, there's a very small margin now that of schools that do that. Um, so yeah, it's been really good. We have a childcare business as well. So we cater to individuals who want to do martial arts. So we pick them up from school. So we have our fleet of vans. It's about 10 vans I have. So we go to about 30 something different schools, pick them up, bring them to our facility, homework, games, activities, and then they go right into martial arts classes. And I really just tailor to kids who want to do martial arts. So it really helps, push the martial arts as well. But then you have multiple sides to the business, which helps out quite a bit. So wearing the business hat, that helps quite a bit.
Yeah, so you figured out how to diversify the revenue stream by meeting a couple needs, for the people. And if you can't come to us, we'll come get you.
Everybody needs childcare. Parents need to work. Not everybody has the luxury of being able to work a half a day. So, parents need to work to 5:30, whatever it is. So our program is open until 6 for childcare. So it gives parents plenty of time. And then it's right in the same facility as martial arts. So they just go from one side to the other side, and then they start doing martial arts classes. So sometimes we have the kids, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night, and they hang out with us, and they're either in one program or they switch over to another program. So we get to keep things rolling pretty well, and if one slows down, the other one can kind of help the other side financially.
Are you ready to talk about, didn't you just do a real estate something change, for like what you're able to do, for the complex? Didn't you talk about something about that, or you read, or is that still not ready to talk about yet?
Well, we are closing on a new property. So we're buying a 2.3 acres of land with there's already a structure on there. There's two. One of them we're keeping, one of them we're demolishing to build a new building for martial arts. So this way, our martial arts space can expand. We're gonna have much more grass outside to have soccer field, basketball, eventually one day a swimming pool, all that stuff for summer camp. So really we can run all of that. But it should be, I think, about 11, 12 days. We should be closing. And then, demolition and construction and everything else will go on for about 8 months.
Fantastic. So one of the things I find interesting is you've been able to grow your school, get more students in, expand your offerings, but then you're still able to kick out the caliber of student that you're now getting guys that are getting national titles and that kind of stuff. How do you balance that from being a school for everybody and still having the rigorous curriculum that you need to get these champions out there?
Not easy. Um, because not everybody wants to compete at that level. But the mindset that my guys and I have, and my guys are all homegrown, so we all have the same mentality, earn everything. Your skills are more important than your belt color, which is something which has faded away. And you and I have talked about that. These days everybody and their mother is a black belt. So which is sad because it really took skill and ability and grit to be able to earn that. And now you have 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds walking around with black belts. which as you can tell, I am completely against. So I am on this small little island of individuals against this massive, you know, what's popular and what makes money. And then we can talk about that because that's that's martial arts integrity versus straight out business.
Right.
So yeah,
And I feel like sometimes they're in conflict.
they are in conflict with each other. It's tough to keep the martial arts integrity and still run a top level school, which makes it really difficult. Always one lowers, one goes up, and it's this scale game of try to keep them balanced as best as possible. For me, we try to train every student like we were trying to train state champions. I think that for us, that is a goal. But I mean, we don't just do Taekwondo on the sports side. Like our focus is more on the combative side. So we do, combat Taekwondo. We do kickboxing. Like one of my main guys is doing a ring fight, in about a month. We do Muay Thai fights. So we have expanded out of just pure Taekwondo, and we have moved on to other things. As much as the sports side is fun, it's not the most realistic. So that's why we have expanded out because I do have a lot of athletes that eventually over time want to get into more serious sparring, serious fighting. So we have expanded out of the sports side of things. But getting back to your question, it is very challenging. For us, quality of how we do things is much more important. So besides just educating the children either at the white belt level, at the beginner level, that it's okay to be the same belt color for 6 months. It's okay that you spent 9 months being a blue belt because you couldn't do a back hook kick correctly. I'd rather you be able to be a phenomenal low belt than be a crappy high belt. If you're walking around with a black belt, but your skill level is down here, but your belt is up here, it doesn't make sense. I'd rather you be a low belt, but your skill level up here. Like that is much more important. So for me, I try not to push the belt level too much and go, oh, you have to go to the next belt level, you have to go to the next level, you have to go to testing. And sometimes some people want that. The belt is what they're focused on. But if you only focus on the belt, you eventually quit. So I rather have them just focus on the skills. Can you do this? Can you do that? All right, you reached this step. Now let's add on to it. So for me, I try to push them more on the let's focus on the skill. Let's accomplish this. And once you get the skill, the belt will eventually come.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you right, just by changing the culture to be like more skill based than belt based, you don't have to be a belt mill without making students quit.
Yeah, it's I mean the belt factories are rampant. They're all over the place. They are just producing student after student. And there's lots of schools who have way more kids than me. I mean, I can say they have double the amount of students I do. But when it comes to skill, knowledge, and overall ability, I can easily say my black belts are more skilled than their black belts. At the same testing level. Our testing requirements is different than their testing requirements. And I want my kids to suffer. I want them to go through the pain, the tears, the blood, the sweat, and really be able to earn it and really appreciate what they have earned and have the skill sets for it, rather than showing up and doing, the black belt testing in 3 different sessions, barely being challenged, not passing a physical test, but still yet passing. Go figure. Not being able to do things correctly, but still you pass, which doesn't make any sense. So instead of just educating the children at that point, I'm also trying to educate the parents that the belt isn't the most important thing. Focus on what your child is learning on the mats, can then apply it off the mats. The whole, toughness, perseverance, and pushing through things. Which over the years now teaching, I've been hearing back from students that I've had. My students are having their own kids now, and eventually I'm starting to get them.
Your grandpa master.
Which means I'm getting old. Which means I am getting old, which I'm having, the kids of my previous students. But they're coming back because they want those things I've taught them to be instilled in their children.
With the challenge, you're bringing the life lessons back into the art.
Yes, I trying to. It's not always perfect. and I do make plenty of mistakes. Not every decision I make is correct. I've learned that over the years. I've made a lot of decisions where I thought they were correct, but once they went into action, I realized, well, I messed up that one. Which I go back to the drawing board and kind of figure out how to adjust it.
That sounds like about every other business owner I've ever talked to too, man.
Yeah, if it was all correct, we would all be, millionaires and sitting well. But unfortunately, we realized that not every decision was a correct decision, and we just gotta go back to drawing board.
May I jump in here? I wanted
Yeah.
to focus on I want my students to suffer.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, all right.
Now, in our society now, we do tend to want everything to be easy and convenient and all that. So you're going, is that what you're trying to impress upon them? Is that these skills that you're teaching them, the suffering is going to make them better at life?
Yes. Not everything's going to be easy. Everybody wants to show up and be awarded for just showing up. And which is not true. I mean, it's not life. Like, you go to work, you don't just get paid just for showing up. You have to perform.
Work.
If you're the weakest link, you're out. So that's just anywhere you go, you have to perform. I'm just trying to teach that at the younger stages of life. When it doesn't matter if they're 5 years old, 7, 15, 18, they're eventually going to be in the real world. And they're going to be outside of their comfortable bubbles, which I tell all my students, a lot of you live in a bubble and you're comfortable in your bubble. And as soon as you get pushed out of your bubble, you don't know what to do because you're uncomfortable, but that's where you grow, is being pushed out of your bubble. So you can't just stay here because I'm comfortable. We're not going to improve. So that suffering is me pushing them out of their comfort zone, out of their bubble. So this way they understand that they can achieve things, they can work harder, that, just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad. They can learn from the discomfort and they can learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
So is that how you sell it to the parents? Is that how you, kind of market it as life skills?
Yes. It's educating the children, and it's also educating the parents at the same time. For a athlete to be successful, the parent has to be on board. If the parent isn't on board and they're kind of wishy-washy, they're in and they're out, they're not paying attention to the kids as much. And we see that, some parents, I have not seen their faces in months. I don't know what some of the parents look like. They drop off their kids and they go. And there's parents that are there every single day sitting like this watching. So there's parents that are very, very involved, that sometimes they have to take a step back. It might not be a bad thing. And there's parents that are completely, we don't ever see them at all, which we would love to see them more often, and learn what your kids are doing. But yes, it is educating the parents at the same time as educating the children.
Is it predominantly children then, or adults like Mike?
I have a mix.
And I'm sorry, that's the first time I've been referred to as an adult in a really long time.
I apologize.
No, I'll take it.
Majority, I think, of most martial arts schools, I think 80% of most martial arts schools, at least Taekwondo schools, and I think some karate schools, are children. And then you have your 20% that's mixed with like adults, teenagers, a mix of other people. It all depends what you focus on. So if you are focusing on I know this is more of a financial one, so we'll go into the business side of things. Kids are your bread and butter. Kids are the ones where you make all your money. Eventually, if you're more like an MMA school, then yes, teenagers and adults is what you focus on more, but kids bring a big part of the revenue. So for majority of places, kids is what you focus on. Little conversation I had, because we just co-hosted a championship last weekend with one of the grandmasters from New York. And we lose a lot of students once they get to the teenage stages. It's because their friends aren't doing it and their friends are playing basketball or soccer, and they see more opportunity playing those sports, because in martial arts we don't have like college scholarships for the most part like they do to play basketball, football, wrestling, soccer for colleges. So they don't, once they get to a certain point, the accolades and the awards kind of drop off. They can't continue this as a career. they can't be a professional martial artist, in their 20s where, other people can be playing professional soccer, or, they can be playing at the top levels, or, second division or third division, still get paid for it. So that's I think part of the challenge with martial arts, and still keeping people who are in their teens and their adults. They do it for a recreation as an adult, but they don't do it really as a career. Whereas, I think we lose kids in their teens and their adults to other sports, especially in that, I would say, that 14 to 17 age group. At least for me, that's where I see quite a few of them dropping off to do sports in high school, because they also want to do it in college as well.
Do you get any of them back as they age up, if they stay in the area, just like, hey, I'm done at 16 and now I'm 21 and come back, or does that just few and very far between?
Some, yes. Some have come back at the later years. Some remember the pain and suffering and go, I don't know if I want to do that.
Oh man, that couch looks good.
Yeah, it's once you get out of it, you realize that your body does change. You're not as fast, you're not as flexible. You may not remember things very well. And I think a lot of people can come back to it, and a lot of people should come back to it. But I think their self-doubt and the confidence level drops down because everything else has dropped down.
When I was 16, I was kicking like this. Now I tried again and it's like this.
Yeah, so I think they doubt themselves, but I think they can definitely make a return to it. And we do have adults on the mats, and the adults have a good time training together. So I would love to be able to have more. And I think all schools will love to have more adults come back. It's a different feel. It's a different vibe, and it's just adult class together and them just having fun together.
I think we did a pretty good job about talking a little bit about, what makes your school different. What else should we know about, like, what makes Master Mehrdad School in Massachusetts different than a lot of the other schools?
I mean, some of the points we hit on. I don't agree with kids black belts. I don't agree in the Taekwondo system where they can be a second or a third degree at 13, 14 years old. When they get to 15, it kind of, they test and somehow it transfers to being a Dan instead of a Gup. It's, for me, it's having a 20-year-old master walking around. It is not a master. I don't think they have the knowledge to be that. But that's my own argument. I think earning things is huge. We don't give anything away. I mean, we give you respect and everything else you earn. So I think that that's big. Push everyone physically and mentally. I think that's a big part. I don't shy away from pushing people hard. I think as martial artists, as teachers, it's our job to push our athletes, push our students to the best that they can be. It's not our job to baby them. It's not our job to take a step back. Oh, you're tired. It's okay, because your opponent's not going to care about you being tired. Your opponent's going to be happy you're tired.
They'll smell that there's blood in the water, baby.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no puke, there's no passing out, there's no getting off the mats. You continue training until that clock hits, class is over. And water breaks are far and few between. But those are, things that we really push on our students. But
sounds like I really want to join.
In that we still have a lot of fun. Like, we still joke around, we still high five, we still have a great family atmosphere, but we're a family that's serious.
But you don't allow very often water breaks.
No.
You don't need water. Suck it up.
It's a 45-minute class. You're not going to die. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many people. There's like people who show up to beginner class, they got water bottle and this and that and everything else. I look at them, I'm like, you don't need that. Put it away. I'm like, we don't bring water on the mats. Go put it away. It's like, you're not going to die. But I think they've just been catered to so much in everything they do. I watch my kid play sports, and they get breaks, and this kid's running around and this kid's over there, and it's like herding cats, and I'm just sitting there going, should I yell things out because I want, it's like, so the teacher in me wants to yell them out and get them in order and structure, and disciplines. But then, I'm like, all right, it's not my job. Be quiet, sit and stare. But yeah, no, but it's just like everyone just gets, I don't know. I think society in itself or everything else has softened up a lot. And I think we've not pushed the kids as hard as we can. And sometimes I'm at fault for pushing too hard. So I realize I should take my foot off the brake sometimes. I mean, I'm sorry, off the gas sometimes. And lighten up a little bit. And I do once, but sometimes I realize it when I'm on the edge of breaking them. So I kind of back off and I'm like, okay, just let them relax a little bit and then we go back into it.
Well, I think you remind me a lot of like the type of instruction I had growing up, and it does my heart good to know that guys like you are still out there.
And listen, we got hit with sticks. You learn. The stick is called a fixer. There's something wrong with you. You get hit with a stick, it gets fixed. You don't punch hard enough, it gets fixed. You don't kick hard enough, it gets fixed.
I play pickleball.
I've seen people more vicious at pickleball than I've seen at some Taekwondo tournaments,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean the years of the stick have kind of faded away. I think we got hit with sticks. I had very hardcore traditional masters that were very hard on us. They used to stand on our stomachs as we were doing leg raises and yelling at us in Korean, and I have no idea what they were yelling at me. Eventually, I learned over time.
Fair enough. Well, so as we're running out of time here, dude, so what area of Massachusetts do you serve, and then how does somebody get a hold of you if they want some of this abuse that you're selling?
So I am all the way in the west side of Massachusetts. So I am right outside of Springfield, Mass. I'm in East Longmeadow, and that is bordering on Connecticut. So anyone in like northern central Connecticut, all of Western Mass, even some parts of Central Mass, we're only about a half hour, 45 minutes drive. I have students as far as like 45 minutes south of us, like Central Connecticut area, that come up to us as well. Yeah, Massachusetts Taekwondo Academy in East Longmeadow, Mass. That's where we hang out. Hopefully, towards the end of this year, we'll have a brand new home, larger facility, to be able to train, and hopefully, we'll be training more kickboxers, Muay Thai fighters, Taekwondo athletes, state champions, national champions. So anybody who wants to come train with us, more than welcome to. If we're not the right home for you, no hard feelings, but more than welcome to come and hang out with us and goof off with us and have a fun time.
Invite me to your ribbon cutting. I'll come out and hang out with you.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come on down. Have fun with us.
All right, Mike. So how do people get in touch with you if they have some more questions for you?
Yeah, sablepoint.com, sablepoint.com. And then I've got a team ready to go on the phone all the time at 231-425-4308. Again, that's 231-425-4308. And you can email directly at mike@sablepoint.com.
Well, this has been a very eye-opening podcast, and I thank you both for schooling me. So thanks to both of you. Thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Wealth Doc Podcast with Mike Heckman. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Have questions? Visit our website at sablepointwealthmanagement.com or give us a call at 231-425-4308. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Sable Point Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of Mike Heckman. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, Private Client Services, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by Mike Heckman or RFG Advisory or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice.
Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, Mike Heckman, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.